Okay, day 3, Mishlei 21:14. We're not going to review all the questions, just the translation here. Matan b'seser yichve af v'shochad b'chek chema aza. So a gift in secret will cover up or overturn anger, and a bribe in the lap, strong wrath. Okay, so we had a bunch of approaches yesterday. We're not going to review them right now. I said yesterday that we're going to do the Meiri, his rejected perush, and then his derech nistar ones, but I found a couple more like good pshat ones that I just want to go over. Two more just good pshat things. First one is the Malbim, who you don't have there. So the Malbim, as usual, differentiates between matan and shochad. Okay, so he says shochad ikra hanachaso almanas shenosnim ladayan la'avis hadin. So both of them are gifts, but a shochad you give to the judge with the intent to make him pervert justice, okay, or to screw up the din. And then af and chema, he says he's bar af hu hachitzon v'chema hi hapnimis. So that's an interesting thing. Af is outward or external expression of anger. Chema is inward. Okay, v'hi kashim af, and it's worse than af. Okay, so here's how he interprets it. So he actually reads the pasuk the way that I suggested to read it. But which I don't think we've seen anyone say yet. He says like this. Matan, so I'll tell you ahead of time. He's going to read it like this. Matan b'seser yichpe af v'shochad b'chema aza. A gift in secret will cover up anger, but a bribe in the lap will provoke anger or provoke strong wrath. Okay, so he's learning it as you don't transfer the word yichpe to the second half. So this is what he says. Yomar, this says. Hamaos hanitan baseser, that money given in secret, lifamim hu latova ulifamim hu lara. Sometimes it's for good, sometimes it's for bad. Sh'im hu matan baseser, if it is in a gift in secret, shematan mitzayin hamatana shenosnim shelo avur davar. A gift, he says, is something that you give not for any purpose, not for any not like as a means towards any other thing. Okay. Kamo hamao shenosnim lani, like when you give money to a purpose and you're not expecting to get anything in return. O hamatan shenosnim lasarim ulashirim, or a gift that you give to officers or to wealthy people, meaning that, sounds like he's trying to say that you're not trying to get favor from them. You're just like a tribute or something. So what about that? So ze yichpe af. Shematan hatzdaka yichape af shalamala. So this is where he says that the tzedakah will cover up the wrath from on high. I assume that means God, but I don't know then why he said like a gift that you give to the officers and rich people. That doesn't really seem to have to do with God. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, but then he says like this: Umatan l'shofet, but a gift to the judge, ulasar. Okay, now he goes back to the sar and to the minister. Yichape, Yichape af shalamata. Okay, now I'm lost. That will cover up even wrath, anger below. Okay, let's just finish reading and then we'll put it together. But money that you give in secret, lif ol al yidei ivus hadin v'hatayas hamishpat, in order to pervert the law and to incline justice, shezen nikra shochad, which is called a bribe that you give into the lap of the judge. That will provoke wrath from on high because God doesn't like people doing bribes. And then on below when the matter becomes known to the king. So he's trying to say that it's similar. It's funny. It's similar in structure to what we were saying about giving stuff to appease someone's anger, that could either be really good or it could backfire. Here he's saying a similar thing, that depending on he seems like he's making it dependent on the intent, that if you do it not for a particular reason, then it'll be perceived as good from on high and on below. But if you do it to pervert the justice, then that'll work against you below and on high. So what let's see if we could just get an idea out of this. Yeah.
Yeah. So this might not be exactly what he's saying.
Yeah.
But it was definitely something. So when I was working at camp and I was running an imperative family, so one of the things that they talked to us about in terms of just making sure that your staff are going to work effectively.
Yeah.
Is at the beginning, front loading with a lot of positive experiences because
to your staff
to your
or
staff,
okay, yeah.
Because if you interact with your staff and they see you in a positive way, they call it like priming the piggy bank.
Yeah.
And so then when you need something like out of them, like you need to like ask them for something, but you're not asking from like a relationship of zero. You're asking from a relationship where you've like created something. Right. And so if you're just asking and you haven't built up a relationship with somebody, right, then that's putting you into the negative in a sense. Right? And then they're like, who are you to be asking me to be doing this thing? Or like, if they're doing some negative thing, they're not going to be enjoying it or they're not going to be happy about it. Right. But if you've already built up a relationship with them where like they appreciate you and everything that you're doing, right? So then it's a lot easier for you to ask them to do certain things that they might not necessarily want to do because you've already built that relationship. So
that's interesting that you're putting in terms of relationship. Like I could definitely see that. I just want to clarify the difference between that and what we said yesterday. I'm calling you afterwards of it. Yesterday we put it in terms. Let me put up the English here, and the questions just so you can see who we are. So yesterday we put it in terms of reciprocity, right? That you do something good for them, and then that creates a certain like feeling that they should do something good for you. You're putting it in terms of relationship, which I think is true and also different, right? That can you like elaborate on what you think the relationship dimension is as different from the reciprocity thing? If you think it is different, maybe you don't think it's different.
Yeah, if it's just something about reciprocity, then I think people sense it. But if like you're having a good time with people because you want to have a good time with them, and then you also have like this other idea in mind, like it's also going to be helpful in other ways, right? Then that's different than just I'm doing something for you so that like I'm putting a bunch of favors in the bank. So correct. Take them out. That's right. Different than just like making sure that the bank isn't in a negative state. Yeah, it is funny though that the term that you said that they use is a very transactional term, you know. But I was thinking more along that it was also along the lines of they see you as a person. I'm not referring to the book, but I'm saying like just in a layman's sense, they see you as a person, you know, not some sort of like authority figure or like you know cog in the system, you know. In a sense, by demonstrating that you care about them, right, then they're not going to relate to you as someone who's asking for like absurd things or
so I can't make everything bigger. I can make the translation bigger and then I could zoom down. Is that
that's fine.
Okay, David, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, just a thought on what Malbim was saying, that I know with particularly with the midah, like being nice to someone, if you're sincere, people are like, they really love when you're sincere, but if you have any sense of insincerity, then it's like a disgusting
right.
And this just seems to be going down that route. If you're going to do something sincerely, then that'll be very nice for someone. But know that if you're going to be doing it insincerely, then they're going to get like really, really mad at you.
Yeah, so this is kind of why I wanted to do the Malbim, because I want to differentiate it, or not differentiate. I want to examine the differences and similarities between this and what we were saying about the like. Just review what we said last time or 2 times ago. When someone is angry at you and you give them a gift to appease their anger, then that can either work in your favor or it can backfire. And the reason we said it backfires is no one likes to feel that they're being manipulated, you know. But if they perceive it as either reconciliatory, where like you're humbling yourself to them, or if they just like, if it puts them in a positive mood and they're not thinking about like why you're doing it, then that could work to your advantage. So it seems like there's a similar thing here where if there is any suspicion of an ulterior motive, like if it's a politician who's like being hey and smiling really broadly and like patting you on the back, then it's like slimy, you know. Whereas if it is if it comes across as genuine, then like it opens up these other channels for the relationship. So like I see the similarities, but it also feels a little different. But this is more motive dependent, which like them all of them.
Kind of a flip side of what I was saying. Right. So a student who like shows that they're dedicated and like really works. Right? So then when they mess up or do something wrong, the teacher is a lot more likely to be lenient and like forgiving with them. Versus like the one who just kind of coasts in class and then like tries to be nice to the teacher in order to get out of something. The teacher's not
definitely. That's a good example. Right.
Where's the verb of the second?
That's the big problem. So there are Mefarshim who say that the verb covers up or overturns should also be transposed into the second half.
And it covers up.
It covers up strong wrath. But then the way
in the lap
In the lap?
Yeah, in the lap, we said that we think that the equivalent of in the lap is like, we say like an under the table deal, like you're doing it in secret.
Okay.
Yeah, but then the Malbim who are doing
in the lap, strong wrath.
And bribe in the lap. So in other words, like this, you could say in a bribe in the lap covers up strong wrath. That's one way to take it.
Oh.
But then the way that the Malbim is taking it right now is that it provokes strong wrath.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. So in other words, the two psukim are either saying similar things or opposite things.
Right. But if you're saying opposite things, though, you need a new verb.
No, you wouldn't need a verb because it would just, I mean, you wouldn't need a verb. It'd be nice to have a verb.
You don't have one to transpose anymore. So how are you supposed to know?
Just because in the same, like, I'm trying to think of an, of another example.
Say like, a mother feeds her kids and a worker his employees, and then think, oh,
right, that's true. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, in that sense, it is a tougher read. You're right. Okay. Yeah, and that might be why most of the Mefarshim do transpose it, and they don't take it this way. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any way to see that in the words. I don't think so. Yeah. All right, so that's the Malbim. Okay, let's do another one, which is similar to the tzedakah angle from yesterday. Okay, now it's going to look like the Radak is saying something like false, but I think when you read the whole thing, then you can like reread the first half. Okay, so he says, "Matan b'seser." Let me make it bigger. Matan b'seser, atam masir adam shelo litain tzedakah ela liknos schar la'olam haba. Here it is telling a person that he should only give tzedakah in order to acquire reward in olam haba. Now that looks like the thing that's false, because we just had a whole discussion last Thursday night about how if you're doing something for olam haba, then that's a lo lishma, and he can't be saying like you should only do this for lo lishma. But when we read on, you'll see what he means. V'shelo yaseh osa liknos shem olios ne'avad min ha'aniyim. You should not do this in order to acquire a reputation, like, oh, I'm such a big generous guy, or to be served by aniyim, which is the thing. I feel like this is not something that happens in our society, but in the olden days, then one of the like methods of doing tzedakah would be basically you employ aniyim, and you could like give them a job, and so they're working for you, but they're also like being taken care of, So I think he's saying basically like don't, try to get cheap labor, from aniyim, where you're technically giving tzedakah, but you're really just like taking advantage of their services. Okay. Aval tie matnaso la'ahavas Hashem, but rather your gift should be for the love of God, shebara ha'anim v'hashirim, who created the poor and the rich, umechamlaso aleim, and out of your compassion for them, l'chavod boram, out of the glory of your Creator. And this is why I'm saying that when he says schar la'olam haba, oh, you know what maybe he means? Maybe this is not lo ella, meaning maybe it's almost as if you're deleting the word ella. It's warning a person to not give tzedakah in order to acquire a reward in olam haba, and not to do it to be served by the name. I think that read is smoother. You see what I'm saying? Meaning, I was reading it, whenever you have lo ella, it means only. That I initially read it's warning a person that he should only give tzedakah for reward in olam haba. But I think the actual way to read it is it's warning a person that he shouldn't give tzedakah only in order to get reward in olam haba.
Not just like saying like,
yeah, meaning he's saying that you should
not just to give reward in olam haba.
Right. In other words, that you should do it for higher reasons. In other words, because the aval is the transition point here. So these are all, the first half is all the motives why you should not do it. I mean, don't do it to get schar in olam haba. Don't do it to get a reputation, and don't do it so that the aniyim will work for you. Rather, you should do it for avas Hashem, who created the poor and the rich, and out of compassion for the poor people, out of kavod of God. I think that's a smoother read. V'yabid be'ein sichlo, and you should look with the eye of his mind, ki hakel bara shenehem, that God created both of them, v'hu hamorish v'hama'ashir hamashbil v'hamerim, and God is the one who impoverishes and gives wealth, lowers and raises. Okay, so this is going with the translation of the pasuk that a gift in secret means giving tzedakah, and he's not really saying in secret, other than the fact that it's not to get reputation. Okay, and a bribe in the lap, he's not really. Oh, he is explaining bribe in the lap. I didn't realize there was a commentary on the second half. I haven't read this yet. Let's see. V'shochad b'cheik, ata posech pesach lahamon ha'am, k'shikra lahem shum tsara, v'inyan ra, imi shetakif mehem, shi'iratu osao b'shochad. This sounds like a completely different idea. He says, this is opening, like giving like an opportunity, not an opportunity, like it's opening up like a route for the masses that when something tragic befalls them or some, they get in trouble, with someone who's more powerful than them, that they should appease him with a shochad, with a bribe. In Yaakov, I said this yesterday, like Yaakov, achapra panav b'mincha, that Yaakov appeased Esav with the gifts. Zet tzarich lasos b'seser, but you got to do it in secret. Ukeshiyasimehu b'cheko, and when he gives it into his lap, lo shiyomar ani eten lecha kach. He shouldn't say like, "Oh, I'm giving you this." Okay, this sounds like a different idea. Let's just figure out this first idea first, because I think this is its own thing.
Work that they would. How do you generously give someone work? Like if you're giving them work, then
for the poor person,
yeah, they're working for you, so then there's a reason they're paying.
Right, but I think it's like you're gonna have like actual jobs that are filled by qualified people and who I know I'm kind of projecting like our modern standards of employment back then, but like I think it's like similar thing. There are people who you want to hire for their skills or whatever. And then there are people who you're kind of like giving jobs out of mercy that maybe they're not so consistent or maybe they're not like able to do it so well, but you're providing for them work anyway.
But then what's the point of even providing them work if they're not doing it so well? You might as well just hire them.
No, because in order to give tzedakah, like in a dignified way.
So you're
because like
sort of pretending that they're better at their job than they are.
No, not even that. No, it's just that you are, one of the higher forms of tzedakah is you give them a livelihood. So you're giving them a livelihood. You wouldn't you wouldn't, or it might even be a job that's not even necessary, but you're like employing them for that in order to give them a way to be sustained in dignity. But now you got like poor people working for you.
All right.
Like it's like Fiverr, right? Like online, like you could like pay $5 for like a bunch of people who are doing things usually in other countries who like if you hired someone like in the States, like a graphic artist or whatever, you're gonna have to pay a lot more, but like you're getting like cheap labor basically. I
thought that was what you were saying is that you can't do it to get.
Yeah, he's saying you shouldn't do that, but I'm saying why you would do that and why it is a tzedakah.
I'm asking how do you do it his way without even doing the cheap labor thing? Which means you're paying them as much as a good person who would do well in the job, who would do it like competently would do. And how's that person supposed to feel dignified unless they're just completely oblivious that what they're doing is not.
I think the person knows why they're getting the job. That it's I'll tell you what it's like. They have, I don't know what you call these places, but have you ever heard of these like okay, there's clearly lots of places that give food to the poor, right? But there are these places locally, I don't know where they are, where like it's like I think there's one guy locally who basically like set up his garage like a grocery store, and there's all this food and like Aniyim can just come and go and like take it without paying, Now they know that it's tzedakah, but like you're doing it in a way that like makes them feel like dignified, like a normal person, where they don't have to like beg, So same thing here.
That makes sense.
Right.
Because you're not making them believe that they're contributing. You're just giving them a nicer place to do it.
Right.
I get that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of an example that fits into this category here. Like
the only thing I can think of, but even this at least seems like they're still doing something. Is like places like Walmart, places like that, well, they'll give like people with like Down syndrome.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
But they're still sort of like they actually are doing something. They're not making a lot of money.
Right. No, but I think these Aniyim are also doing something. They're serving the guy, But he's and the thing also just to remember here is he's not suggesting that you do different actions. He's saying that the motive is the important thing. So if you are employing poor people, but you're doing it out of Avas Hashem and recognizing like, both of them, then, that God created both the poor and the rich, then he's seeing is good.
Right.
And it does like,
just to clarify why
sure.
I was to use that example.
Yeah.
Because they don't have a real ability to ever really obtain you a higher skill.
Right.
And also they don't have such an ability to be embarrassed by what their job is with Down syndrome people, meaning because they're not quite as like cognizant of like the status of all
the first half I agree with you, the second half not necessarily, because it depends on how on how advanced their the thing is, but yeah.
All right. So whereas like the poor people, I feel like the real tzedakah would be teach them, like train them in something.
There are definitely higher levels of tzedakah, but this is just a level. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like paid internships could be like this.
Yes.
Sometimes
Yeah.
Just bring it up.
Right.
Worth the money.
Exactly. Yeah. That's good. And I mean, look, again, I know I'm projecting I'm doing an anachronism here, but like, it does give them experience, which could then help them get other jobs. So there are other benefits as well. But just to quote the source of this is there's a Mishnah in Avos. Isaac, you can tell me where it is if you want. Anim should be b'nei beisacha. The anim should be members of your household. So
1-5.
Thank you. So some people say that just means that you should welcome them into your house like members of your household. But I believe there are some Mepharshim who say it means that you should employ them to do household tasks, which you would ordinarily hire like non-Jews for. That it's better to hire the Aniya Yisrael than that. Okay, so let's focus on this though, which on his main point, which is why does he emphasize love of God and kavod of the Bore, that God created both anim and ashirim. He created both, and God impoverishes and makes wealthy. Like, what does that have to do with the pshat of the pasuk of it covers up wrath and covers up strong anger? What is the wrath and what would the anger be, and how does this cover it up? And there's a pasuk in Mishlei, by the way, that says this, which I kind of hesitate to show you a pasuk that's so close by, but I think there's a pasuk that's coming up in the next chapter. I'll just read it just so you have it in your mind. Hold on, Gam. Maybe it's in our chapter actually. Gam. No, maybe it doesn't say Gam in it. Wait. I know it is. Pogea or Pagosh. Pogea. Oops. That's not what I meant to. That's not where I meant to type it. Pogea. No, maybe it's in the next one. Arash. There we go. Oh, it was earlier in our chapter. Wait, no, it's in chapter 22. Chapter 22 too. Ashir v'rash nifgashu ose kulam Hashem. The wealthy person and the poor person meet. God makes all of them. So I think that idea is what he's referencing here.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think the idea is?
What's the question? The
question is he's putting the emphasis. So the pasuk says that doing this thing gets rid of wrath. Radak is saying this thing means giving it out of love of God and recognition that God creates both rich and poor. So what is the wrath, and how does this recognition remove the wrath?
Oh.
Yeah, David?
Yeah, so on the what is the wrath, I think there's still need to be a lot of explained within the pasuk.
Yeah.
But the wrath of, I would think that the wrath is the wrath of God, of there being if you're not carrying out justice, that there's going against the will of God, and there's a certain wrath that is being appeased as you are going to then live in line with that.
But where are you going against justice? Because according to him, the two opposites are not a person who's refusing tzedakah to give tzedakah and a person who's giving it. It's a person who's giving tzedakah but lo lishma versus someone who's giving it with this recognition.
Right.
You have an idea?
Yeah, it seems like in order to understand that that Hashem made both poor and rich.
Yeah.
Comes from the same source of understanding. If you can understand that, then you'll understand that you're also your riches or your wealth don't come from necessarily, not really from your own ability.
Right.
That too is a gift.
Yeah.
And then that would mean that if you don't give to the poor, then you're behaving as if you did. You're not recognizing Hashem.
Right.
And so that would be the wrath that otherwise would be unappeased if you didn't.
Yeah. Okay, good. I think that's the approach, right? Is that the guy who is the subject to wrath is apparently a guy who doesn't recognize that it is God who makes rich and poor, and not like his, kochi votim yadi asal liyasachayil zeh. It's not my own strength, not my own might. And so therefore, if you So in other words, if you ground your act of tzedakah in this recognition that the guy I'm giving to could be me, like if I were born in different circumstances, or if I didn't get these breaks or whatever, so then this could be me, and I am no different than this person. So then you are aligning yourself as then you're putting yourself in the recognition of that like I'm just one of God's creatures who he's sustaining, and I happen to have gotten more resources than, out of God's chesed than this guy, Now the only thing, so I think that's a great explanation. Now let's just flesh out, why is the guy who's giving Shalol Lishma precluded from this? Because it sounds to me like two separate things. Like I could be giving Shalol Lishma and having this recognition or not, but the Radak is setting it up like alternatives. Like if you're giving for a reputation or for Olam Haba or for getting poor people to work for you, then you're somehow not recognizing that you're equal to them, to the poor people.
Well, that's why, because like it's for the same motivation. It's for your own glorification again, or your own.
Yeah, the glorification was the easier one to understand, right? Like that's yeah.
What was it, 3 things?
Olam Haba, reputation, or like they're serving me. Yeah, I guess all of them. You're right. All of them are a sort of like self-serving thing.
Well, yeah, and Olam Haba and working for me are both just forms of
advancement, right? So yeah, success, right? So it's a personal success oriented framework as opposed to a compassion and justice in the framework of like God's system framework. Yeah,
even within the spectrum of Lo Lishma, there even within that, there's already a loftier version of self-servingness, which is to do it for reputation. Because even if it is for gain, at least you're recognizing that there's a reason why people would see you as like good. Yeah. And that's still not enough though, because it's still, so if that's the case, then you have to have something that's even beyond. Yeah. That's good. Okay, good. All right. I like this idea. All right. Anything else here? Okay. So let's go to the Meiri. Okay. And so he has, first thing we're going to do is his aborted interpretation. So this is, we read yesterday, his actual interpretation, which is about the not giving tzedakah in a way that embarrasses poor people, right? That was the whole thing, because you're ignoring their psychological needs. Okay, but then he says like this, and I don't understand this, but it's his meta commentary that fascinates me. Okay, it says, maybe this is practical advice. Okay, now he called it earlier, he said it was Torah advice, a Torah lesson, which is in how to give tzedakah. That's He'ara Torah is. Now he's saying it is like, He'ar Medinas is Meiri language for like just practical advice. L'chol mishtadel b'malachos gedolos, in anyone who strives in big malachos, uve'iskim rabbi ha'inyanim, and in like like very big endeavors, like projects, I guess. Shelo yachush lehotzos, to not worry about expenditures. Okay. Now he quotes a pasuk in Koheles, which is hard because I don't know how he interprets the pasuk. Ki hakesef ya'ane es hakol, because money ya'ane everything, and the problem is ya'ane is translated in 4 different ways in Koheles. Ya'ane either means money answers everything, money preoccupies everybody, money afflicts everything, or money, maybe it's 3 ways. So money answers everything, money afflicts everything, or money like preoccupies everyone. Raises his voice.
Oh no, I think I've heard that Shoresh using that. I might be mixing things up, but
I don't know.
It's not ringing a bell, then it probably was not it.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, but then he says Ella she'ein roy lefarish divrei kodesh kain, but it's not proper to explain holy words like this. Okay, so that's what really intrigues me here. So and now we can't fully understand it until we like understand what he's saying. But so first of all, let's just take what we do understand. He's saying this is anybody who's involved in big endeavors. Like I'm guessing here, like was this malachos gedolos and iskim rabbi hanyanim, like let's say like big business ventures or like building cities or whatever. Don't worry about expenditures. Don't worry about costs. Okay. And then he rejects it, not because it's a false idea, but because he's saying it's not proper to explain holy words like this.
Because they're about mundane things.
And that's what interests me, because there are a lot of psukim that seem to focus in Mishlei on mundane things, like just like how to be successful. Yeah.
The other psukim generally relates to midos
though? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Like you have psukim about how to just make money, Yeah, lots. Like, that's like a whole genre. Yeah.
Yeah, but those still seem like they're still more about the philosophy of it. Like they're still about like good, I don't know about maybe a media, but more like good principles and like that are good to use, even if they're specific principles. Mm-hmm. This is getting really like in the details, like of like almost like a manual on a specific, like, all right, here's someone's theory. I don't know, part of this theory is like, do your taxes.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, I sense a similar line that I think there's a line here. I think I'm just drawing the line differently in my mind. Let me tell you what I'm thinking here, just because I want to move on to the Meiri's derech nistar things. Is if he's telling you a strategy for material success, okay, that is something Mishlei does all over the place, right? There are just like dozens of psukim that tell you how to get material success, okay? And it's important because material success is also about like will give you the foundation that you need to pursue real perfection, right? Like whether it's perfection in midos or perfection in knowledge. Okay. However, here he's saying that what is the main point of this advice? It's how to diminish your worry. Okay, like don't worry about the costs. So I think Mishlei giving you just psychological satisfaction is not something that derech coders would do. Like just here's how to feel, just like to feel at ease with certain things, you know. Now I realize like theoretically, yeah, right. There, yeah, it's like, for example, like I've objected to there. I don't think anyone here, but like I've given Mishlei shiurim before on different psukim where people will, you know, we always like look for what is the consequence of making the bad decision and what's the benefit of making the good decision. So I've seen things before where people will say that what's the consequence that Shlomo was trying to prevent you from having? Feeling guilty. You know, yeah, no one likes to feel guilty, but I don't think Shlomo is concerned with just making you not feel guilty. If the guilty feelings lead to some actual damage in your decision making, so then he would talk about it. Let's say, for example, like there are types of guilt that people feel when they do averos that make them more prone to doing more averos, you know, like, oh, I'm screwed anyway, you know. But that he would talk about, but just saying like, oh, I'm going to make you not feel guilty, or I'm going to make you feel good about yourself. Or that's another thing also. There's a pasuk that says in 10:1, Ben chacham yisamach av uben ksil tugas imo. So a wise son makes his father happy, and a foolish son makes his mother depressed. Okay, so I've taught that pasuk a couple times where like people say like you should be wise so that you make your dad happy, you know. And like that's just not a Mishlei. like you know, like if you connect it to something like kibbutz aim, okay, fine, that's the thing. But like Mishlei is not here to make you into someone who like just makes your dad happy, you know. So I think that might be that he's saying it's an effective strategy. And again, I don't understand how he's using Koheles. He's saying like if this pasuk is telling you a strategy for not feeling guilty when you spend money, so then that is true. But I'm not going to explain a Mishlei pasuk like that because it's not connected to like something that's actually beneficial for you. Okay, that's just the theory here. I just wanted to call attention to that. Yeah. Okay. Now ready for his derech nistar. This is wild. Okay. So next page. I think same side. Yeah. Okay. Uva derech nistar. He'ara limsur sodos haTorah leroy lahem. So this is teaching you to only give over the secrets of Torah to people who are worthy of them. Okay, and secrets of Torah here meaning like esoteric ideas that you need to be on a certain level of intellectual or psychological like development in order to like relate to properly. Okay, ki b'yediasam tashuch mevuchas hachacham, that when you know these things, it will abate. That's the word I was looking for earlier. Tashuch is like you know, the anger of the king abated. Okay, it will abate the confusion of the wise person. Okay, like that's literally like the Mora Nevuchim, right? Is like Mora Nevuchim was written for certain types of students who have a certain knowledge of Torah and of Greek philosophy, and that has created certain types of questions. That's the person who, if you teach him the Mora Nevuchim, it will remove his mevucha, his confusion. But if you just say more Nevuchim stuff to like the average Jew, that could create worse problems. Okay. Asher he etzlo af v'chem aza. So he's saying that's what the analogy of anger and strong wrath is. Like the chacham who is confused because he's on a certain level is angry and in conflict with like Torah, right? So for him, you should give over these ideas. Okay. And that's one interpretation. So what is this? What is his interpretation of the pasuk? How's he interpreting matan b'seiser and shilchad b'cheik? Yeah.
You're giving over a secret to only the guy who's always here.
Right. So it's secret because it's something that should be kept secret from other people, and it's a gift because it's beneficial. But it's davka if you do it to the person who is roy to get it. Okay. And can we explain shochad on that basis also? Like, what's the mashal of bribe? The lap, I think, is the same thing, right? Lap is just another mashal for secret.
And are
lap.
you saying it in a positive sense or in a negative sense?
Positive sense. He's saying that the whole pasuk is positive, that it will. Unless you mean maybe it's the maybe he's saying,
Is the negative. Meaning
and that makes wrath.
When you try and give like
That's good.
A quick answer to someone who has questions, or like you don't teach it to them at their level, then it's going to frustrate them more.
Interesting. Okay, so I had a slightly different interpretation. I think it fits better with bribe. Let's read it the way that the Malbim was reading it, which is a gift in secret. Oh no. Okay, hold on. This is not what the Meiri is saying. Okay, yours fits in better with what the Meiri is saying. Let me just try this out with the Meiri inspired by a true Meiri. Okay, a gift in secret abates wrath. So that's if you give over sodos of the Torah to someone who is roy for it, it will remove his confusion. But a bribe in the lap. Now, a bribe is something you give to somebody in an improper way. Okay. And bechek means it's secret. So you give over secrets of Torah to someone who it is not proper for, right? That will incite strong wrath, meaning it will create harmful confusion in that person, right? That's if you get, like if you give over ideas in the more nevuchim to somebody who doesn't have those questions or who's not on the level to understand them, that can actually like create worse problems. And the reason why I don't think this is what the Meiri is saying is because he says that it could fit in the Meiri because he says mevucha. No, depends. Mevuchas hachacham is af and chema aza. I'm saying mevucha period is af and chema. And for the chacham, that's the first half, but then for the non-chacham, that's the second half. Say what you were saying again. Now that I have my mind clear.
I was saying that a person who gives like a rush answer or is like just trying to appease the person. Right. In a sense, they're bribing them just to like get them off their back of this question. Right. Is going to only.
Okay. So that would be saying that the audience is in both cases is the chacham, but the matam b'seser is the proper way to give, and the shocha b'cheik is like the inefficient, quick, proper or improper way to give.
If someone asks a good question, you should like take your time and go through it with them, not just give them a rushed answer. Yeah, you know who says that? The Rambam in the more nevuchim. Hold on, let's see if I can find the thing. What did I call it? No. Oops, sorry. That was about the pasuk about demons. Post about demons. Proper order. Here we go. Yeah, the Ram in his intro to the more nevuchim, when he's writing his letter to Ibn Aknin, I think, he says to him. Oh, so to Rav Yosef. Yeah, so this is the guy who he wrote the more nevuchim to. He says, thereupon I began to let you see certain flashes and to give you certain indications. Then I saw that you demanded of me additional knowledge and asked me to make clear to you certain things pertaining to divine matters, to inform you of the intentions of the mutakalimun in this respect, and to let you know whether their methods were demonstrative, and if not, to what art they belong. As I also saw, you had already acquired some smattering of the subject from people other than myself. You were perplexed, as stupefaction had come over you. Your noble soul demanded of you to find out acceptable words. Yet I did not cease dissuading you from this and enjoining upon you to approach matters in an orderly manner. My purpose in this was that the truth should present itself to your mind in its proper order, and that you should not hit upon it by mere chance. Okay, meaning like if you just like throw out an idea when they're not receiving it in the proper way, or like they stumble upon it, it could cause worse. It could cause greater problems. I think Arab philosophers. Yeah, right. Similarly, he says also, this is the more nevuchim also. He who approaches metaphysical problems without proper preparation is like a person who journeys toward a certain place and on the road falls into a deep pit out of which he cannot rise, and he must perish there. If he had not gone forth but had remained at home, it would have been better for him, right? So this is like Los Asurak or Levav Acharei Nechem, or Rabbi Zimmer's whole approach to Mishlei chapters 1-9 about warning against heresy is like there are certain questions that are important questions, but can only be approached when you are ready for them. And if you approach them at the wrong time, it could make you fall into a pit and you can never get out.
Yeah. Okay. So that's one derech nistar. Let's do another derech nistar. V'li odbo bir habin a nistar. There's another interpretation I have in the area of nistar. Derech mash amru rozal. Kol hamitzvos nasnu b'farhesia chutz min hashabas shenitan betzina. All mitzvos were given publicly, except for Shabbos, which was given in private. Dichsiv beini uveinechem. It's just between me and you, right? That's what God says. Ubiura, its explanation, Hashabbos v'hanimshach mimenu, Shabbos and that which follows from it, Shehim hapinos hatorios shelo tasigim yada ion, which are the Torah foundations that cannot be proven, right? So this was back when they thought, and this is debatable now, right? But back when they thought that you could not prove that the universe had a beginning, right? That's something we only know through Nevuah, right? And even the Rambam held that, right? Rambam held that there's no way to disprove Aristotle and to prove Torah's position of Yesh Me'ayin. It's just that he held that Torah had better arguments. Okay, v'yichas lehem lashon tzina ashlo nuchal lamod behem neged hamisnagdim. And the reason why they say in private is because you cannot refute those who oppose this idea, lahavi befelas hamofes, to bring it into the realm of like proofs. But we know that belief in these things upholds the existence of the religion, meaning it's necessary for Judaism to persist. And the guy who is missing this idea will remain in anger and wrath and heresy. Okay. That's why it's being called here a gift in secret. V'remez and it's saying that by believing these ideas, which cannot be proven, but you only know through Torah, minashamayim, it will subdue anger and remove you from it. That's the same idea as the second half. It's just repeating it. Okay, fine. So what is he saying here? He's saying that when it comes to Shabbos, which is an example of a mitzvah, so he says Shabbos was given in private. What does that mean? It means that the yesod of Shabbos, which is creation yesh me'ayin, cannot be proven. You only know it through Masorah, which is why it's only given to Bnei Israel. Anything in that category, whether it's Charv Onish, Hashgacha Pratis, Yemos HaMashiach, Tchias HaMesim, those things are a matam b'seser that you have to rely on Masorah. And by relying on Masorah, you're going to remove God's anger, which is like the collapse of the religion and like kfira. Okay. And it's important he's saying to not go into debates with people about these things, because if they don't accept Nevuah, then they're not going to accept these things. I don't know what he's getting out of this, but I thought it was an interesting pirush. Let me just show you one more thing. I'm not saying we shouldn't work on this, but let me just show you one more thing also. Wild midrash. Okay, this is one of these midrashim that also sounds heretical, right? You'll see. Is it midrash Mishlei? Yeah, here we go. No, not this one. Oh, this one fits in with what we said yesterday, by the way. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Kol mi shenosein tzedakah b'seser, HaKadosh Baruch Hu yichpeh malach hamaves, shenikra af. Anyone who gives tzedakah in secret, God will restrain the angel of death, which is called anger, from him and from his household. So that fits in with what we were saying yesterday. I think Isaiah was saying about how you can use tzedakah to counteract the Yetzer Hara, right? And Yetzer Hara is Malach HaMaves, yeah.
Two questions on the restraining anger.
Yeah.
One on the anger and then one. Could the restraining anger also not the expression of that, not necessarily it being felt like it's a shun being angry at me and like punishment, but rather like anger being expressed through in my own life, even me, like I becoming getting carried away with my anger, or like anger entering my household, and like
I think you could interpret it that way. Yeah, none of the Mefarshim that I saw said that, but I think it could also work. Yeah, it could restrain like a net like anger. Yeah.
Right, okay, and then the second thing is as far as like how like how much were Aristotle and they were contemporary?
No. Aristotle was like 1,000, like no, he's like 1,500 years before Rambam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So was there anyone dealing with any of Aristotle's ideas?
Any what?
Was there any Jewish people like presence like dealing with Aristotle's ideas? Like,
I don't think in the society. I don't think Aristotle talks about the Jews. I think I looked into it
real,
once.
Like awareness from the Greek side of like the Jewish response.
So it's no from the Greek side of the Jewish response to those ideas at the time. No, in fact, I don't even know how much the ideas got to the Jews at the time.
What about later? Did anyone ever respond from the Greek perspective to like Rabban's like positions on?
I don't know. I agree. Well, the Greek society that Aristotle was a part of was totally gone by then. So if anyone, it would have been the Muslims who like revived Greek philosophy, responding to the Jewish stuff on behalf of Aristotle. Yeah, and that I don't know.
Okay.
All right, last midrash here. I just got to show it to you. We don't have time to work on it. Amar Rabbi Elazar, Gadol Oseh Tzedakah B'Seser Yoser Mi Moshe Rabbeinu. If you give tzedakah in secret, you're greater than Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay. That's how to get it. De'ilu b'Moshe Rabbeinu ksiv ki agortim v'pnei ha'af v'ha'chema. Moshe Rabbeinu said when he was davening on behalf of Klal Yisrael to remove the punishment for the Chet Egel, he said, "I was afraid because of God's anger and wrath." Oseh tzedakah ksiv matam b'Seser yich be'af. But gift in secret removes anger. Yeah. So if you get an idea there, tell me what you think it is. Okay, so let's quickly review and then we'll stop.
Never do it in secret himself. I guess he could.
I mean, it's a good question. The other thing also is like Moshe wasn't even like afraid of God being angry at him. This is like, it's a drasha, but it's an interesting one. Yeah. Okay. So what did we say today? So we said the Malbim, which is about making sure that the secret gift you give is, if you do it for just motives, then it will remove anger. And if you do it for unjust, to try to like manipulate the system, then people will sense that and then they'll get angry at you. And God will also respond if you're doing it for injustice purposes. Then we had the Radak, which was the proper motive for tzedakah is one where you recognize that you could be the poor person. You're no different than them fundamentally. You're all part of God's system. Whereas if you do it for shalol lishma, that's some sort of self-serving thing, and that's going to subject you to a certain type of divine wrath because you're kind of missing the point of tzedakah, which is to realize that you're part of the system. Then we have the Meiri's first idea, which is giving an idea to that's sowed to someone who's worthy of it will remove confusion, but if you give it improperly or if you give it to someone who's not worthy of it, it'll increase confusion. And then we have like this last idea, which we didn't have. Okay, good. So plan for tomorrow is let's try to do the practical. It'll really be a Rambam B'kius shir, but in the practical halachos of tzedakah that we've been talking about. Okay. Not taking it down to the full practical level because that's our shulchan that I would need to prepare for more, but yeah. All right. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.